Hello friends, welcome to my channel. My name's Bernard. I'm a violin teacher. And today's violin lesson will be on the Kreutzer Etude number 42. It's the last one of the series. And it's quite a difficult etude, both for endurance and for concentration. As I just played this for you, I found it was difficult, but maybe when I was 20 years younger and I recorded this before, it wasn't as difficult. It's much more difficult now. But I got through it, and not perfect, but I think reasonably well enough to give you the idea of what the piece is all about. As I say, the concentration with this phrase, that motif, I guess, that Kreutzer uses to start. So this, it comes in many forms, and we have to be alert each time it comes, ready maybe a different fingering, and we try to keep it as simple and consistent as possible. When I started this, I experimented with different fingerings, and I found that I wanted to keep the same fingering, same style of fingering, same pattern of fingering as much as possible. I think you'll find that will help you also to be able to get through this piece in good shape without having breakdowns because you forget a certain fingering, a certain passage. The other most prominent problem with this piece, let's say challenge, is the occasional use of tenths. Now, I just did a video on talking about tense and the difficulties of tense, and you can check that out. I think I just put it up a couple of days ago. But at any rate, you're going to have to find places, for example, and I have measure numbers in this part that I'm using. In measure 44, 45, 46, 40, measure 47, very, very tricky 10th that he throws at us, and it's a major 10th in second position. And in my video, I talk about that I never play major 10ths in first and second position. Well, this is the place where you can't avoid it. And the way to make this one a little bit safer is you play the B flat with the first finger, and you play it a harmonic, so you don't have to depress the string all the way. I think you'll find that helps if your hand has the ability to stretch that far. If you don't have that ability, you just have to maybe just leave out the B flat. That's another possibility. We have this little interesting idea that he throws in at 51, where he begins this long G, a G for a whole bar and another whole bar, and we've got this moving line. As a teacher, I don't know how valuable this is for students to practice. Of course, any technique that you can develop is good. But, I mean, I played the entire violin repertoire virtually, symphonic, quartet, solo. I've never run into this kind of a bowing, even though there are places, I think right off the bat, the last movement of Mozart Fourth, where he uses a slightly similar, but it isn't with all the breaks. You'll see that when you look at that fourth concerto in the last movement, he's got a section, Mozart has a section, where he has you playing a low open string and you're playing a melody on top, but it's not difficult as this is. So anyhow, you want to, if you want to practice this, lift the bow, touch again. So, and of course it happens again later and much more difficult after measure 70. So looking ahead, I don't want to pass anything up. Yeah, many passages, for example, at 63, I opted to go to fourth position there instead of coming down to first position. Try to keep it in place. The original in the music has and some crazy fingerings that in the heat of battle might be confusing. So I keep it simple there. I go to fourth, and then keep that on one string. All through the music, there's places where in the music, the editors have got you playing different strings. I try to keep this pattern always on one string. Let's see if there's anything else. We've got this other passage at 70. Now at 75, in the music they suggest you stay in first position. I went to fourth because I found that it was easier for me to preserve the bowing. I just practice it both ways and see which way works for you better. We would be here. It's a lot easier to make the string speak on the E string, but the problem is changing the calibration of the bow. And so, I'll leave that to you. Try it both ways. Just know there is that option when you're coming through here. Suddenly, at 75, switch to fourth position. I mean, my problem on my violin is sometimes the A string will crack out, but I think it's a nice fingering. pulses. If you can control it, the E string is more stable, so up to you. All right, then we're going ahead. This is all pretty much the same difficulty level. Down, we get to 93 is where it starts getting, the tenths start to get fun. So if I start at 91. Okay, now we're at 93. We're in good shape with an E flat. Now, what you want to think, move the first finger down, fourth finger up. Now, D, F, it's a major third, so you're gonna have to reach a little bit there. Now, this is an unusual one where we've got still a major third, but we could just stick the fourth finger up and pull the first bit. So you gotta think fast on this one. And then, now here I make a change because I don't want to be playing the passage at 96, 97. I don't want to be playing that first position. So I go up on the A string here. So I'm playing at 96 on the A string, third finger. Now this one again. Fourth finger goes up a half step. First finger comes down a whole step. You got to get around for that E. It's a little tricky. I didn't do it too well on my playthrough, on my performance for you. But, just be aware you got to come around a little more. So that's maybe 97 is maybe the most difficult one. Maybe it's because it's, again, in the upper register and the strings are cracking out a little bit. It's more difficult. If your hand can deal with it in the first position, it's going to be more secure. That's no question. But my hand can't do it. I wouldn't even risk it. Let's see what else we've got coming along here that's interesting. Oh, this passage at 104, 105, 106, that's a really interesting one. I played it fine, but man, you just don't feel real secure on that. It's a funny passage. It's good, but no matter how many times you play it well, you still don't feel, I'm not absolutely sure on that one. Another very difficult one for me, I have to be very careful at 108, where I get that first finger and then I have to stretch out for the fingered octave and then throw the F on top of it. I did it fine on the performance, but I'm always a little nervous about that. I have to be very, very careful. I didn't do that well. There. Then, right up to another major 10th. I'm using the harmonic. This is a minor 10th, E to G. That's not so difficult. That's measure 111. That's not so difficult for me. The major 10th is. You have to be very careful. So there's a passage. We're looking at 109, 10, and 11. Oh, excuse me, 10, 9, 8. 108, 109, 110. 10. Let me get this right. 108, 109, 110. Okay, for non-native speakers of English, I don't want to confuse you. I say 108, 109, 110. Very difficult. Practice it slowly. It's nice, I think that one of the benefits of my making these recordings and little teaching videos is I can really help you identify what is difficult so you can really, put an H, put a circle, whatever. So when you practice the etude, you spend some extra time just working those few measures, going over them slowly, understanding them thoroughly, so that when you come later to play the whole piece through, you got that set. That's an old friend by that point. So let's see if there's anything else going ahead here. We've come to 111. And this, of course, is easy because you're playing open. Yeah. it's really funny because by the time you reach this point in the etude, you got to really redouble your focus because we've been concentrating through this whole long piece. It's over 4 minutes long. And you got to focus and stay to concentrate so we don't have a mess up at the end just from, oh my God, I got through it and now it's almost over. You know, so you got to stay very focused and determined to finish it in good shape. So I hope that this gives you some idea about this piece. I guess I didn't talk about the actual bow. The bow stroke is a very strong marcato staccato. All the way through the piece, Of course, except for these little, well, I guess it's still sort of a marcato where we have the so that kind of stroke. I see that, I do take the bow off the string in those kind of passages at 50, 53, 54, 55. Where it's necessary, I'll get off the string. But most of the piece is going to be marcato on the string. And necessarily pretty loud, except for like these sustained G's. It's pretty much relentless. It's one of those relentless kind of etudes. Helps you learn to focus. Helps you learn to deal with left-hand difficulties and keep the bow on the right string. And so it's fun. A lot of great stuff in all these Kreutzer etudes. That's why they're the most popular etudes in the violin repertoire. Okay, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned a little something, get some new ideas. I'm always trying to stimulate your own creativity, your own ideas to help you come up with solutions for yourself. I'll never forget. I was studying with concert master Frank Hauser, and I was taking a lesson, and I had a difficulty, and I asked him about it. He said, I can help you with this one, but you would have figured it out yourself. And I've never forgotten because he had confidence in me. I said, wow, maybe I can. Maybe I can figure out problems. When I come into some challenge, I can figure out ways around it. So and that's what I'm saying to you. You also can figure out whatever the problems are you might be having. I mean, they're different from mine, but you'll see the way I solve my problems, and hopefully you'll be able to come up with problem solving for yourself. All right, take care. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Help build the channel. All right, take care, and we will see you on the next video.